All right, party people, the place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? I am honored to have one of the best voice actors in the business, super Star Wars nerd like I am. In fact, probably more so. But more important, he is my brother in Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Marc Thompson. How are you, sir?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm
Thanks for
doing
having me on.
well. Doing well. I'm so glad that we can have this conversation. We can geek out together on YouTube.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let me share my screen real quick. Let's see here. Boom. Huh. Okay. All right.
I like that slide.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I'm still slowly learning how to do this. So now I knew you was an accomplished voice actor. So I did my research to see what you've done, and
uh-huh.
man, you've done quite a bit, sir. I can't even go into everything. I just want to highlight a few things that you've done and just
uh,
get your comments even before we dive into Star Wars.
okay.
Um, so you've done Transformers, Cyberverse.
Yes. Yeah. Megatron and oh yeah, you have them all right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Let me make sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That looks good. All right. So yeah, I mean, you've done classic villain Megatron. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm
So
really lucky
did you do one?
because
Did you do just one season or?
I think we did. We recorded it all at once, so I don't. To be honest, I don't remember. I think there's two. So
Okay.
either the second one's currently airing or it's about to air. But yeah, we
Cool.
recorded like a bunch all back to back to back. So it
Wow.
was fun because I'm not. There's certain properties that I grew up with, and
Sure.
I've been lucky enough that I think I've gotten to do something for a lot of the ones that the things I was a major fan of. I got to do something voiceover wise for all of them except Star Trek, because like I was big into Transformers, I was big into GI Joe, I was huge into Star Wars. So Star Trek is the one thing I still haven't been able to get into yet, but I've been
I'm
very
sure. I'm sure
lucky.
you're making inroads into that as well. So. Wait,
Yeah.
wait. There was one Star Wars cartoon. I mean, Star Trek cartoon, right? There was one.
Oh yeah, that one was done. I want to say in the '70s with the original cast.
Wow.
Like Shatner and Nimoy did the voiceovers for that, and they're actually now CBS is doing animation now. So that I guess there's maybe a chance I can try to
Right.
knock on that door.
So
So
I mean, can you do Kirk and Spock and all that? Yeah, you have those voices already ready, or
I don't know what you're talking about. I do my
yeah, I see you're
cartoon
prepared.
first.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. All right, you also have done Mobile Suit Gundam for all my
Yeah.
anime fans.
Oh
I'm
yes,
not.
yes,
I
yes.
like anime. I just haven't got. It's just such a huge genre. It's
Yeah.
just so much. It's like I don't know if I could ever even catch up. But I
I
know
know.
my yeah,
Gundam's
yeah.
been going for like decades and decades. Yeah, like I don't even know how long Gundam's been going on for, but that's yeah, I'm yeah. So like it's a whole culture unto itself, and it's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then you also have now. This is what really got my attention.
Yeah.
You did Wolverine, bro. Like that's crazy. Like talk a little bit about this one here.
So this was awesome. This was a motion comic. So it was like it was a short little thing, but it was an honor to be a part of it, and it was kind of like they were. It was when motion comics were like they were experimenting with that and trying
Right,
to see if that could be a viable format. So
right.
basically, we did an audio version of this arc by Cassidy and Joss Whedon, and it was awesome. And we got the cast was really fun, and again, it's a huge honor to play Wolverine. So, and they just took the existing graphic novel and then put some very simple motion animation to it while we were doing the audio for it.
Right.
And I really loved it. I was hoping it would kind of take off, but I guess it was too expensive to produce based on, what they were selling it for. It was kind of like in between full animation and just a comic. So it was like this hybrid. And I guess it didn't totally take off, but I was hoping it would, because I thought it was a really cool format.
Yeah, I seen the one they did with Thor and Loki. That was really good.
Yeah. That was
really
very
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, that's, I know the kiddies like this one here.
Yes, yeah. I did this one, and then I was Duke Devlin on the original Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was a bunch of characters. I'm trying to figure out the 1, 4, or 5Ds. Or I'm on Zexal. I was Astral on Zexal. Nice. And on this, there's a new one that I don't even know if it's come out yet. That I'm playing Shima, and I play Flame. A bunch of other cool characters.
Cool. Yeah. What else we got here? We got G.I. Joe. This is crazy.
Yeah. G.I. Joe Sigma 6. That was a very fun one for me, because I grew up with the original G.I. Joe, and it was cool to do Cobra Commander. And I got to do like Destro and all these guys. And
yeah, man, you get to do all the classic villains, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, totally. I got Zartan, Destro, and Cobra Commander. It was huge.
That's great.
And yeah, I was very excited to do that one, because I had like all the figures growing up, and
right, me too. Yeah. My only issue with the figure is that after a while the limbs get too loose.
Yeah.
But I had a friend in school. I don't know how he did it. He found like the rubber bands.
Oh, so yeah.
He knew how to retighten.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he was mixing and matching. So he'll take the body of Destro and
I totally did that. We would take the screw out the back, and then we would make up our own like soldiers and Cobra soldiers and stuff by like kind of Frankensteining different figures together.
Right. Exactly. Great minds, right?
Yeah.
Then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Googler. Watch out, you purple dragons. Casey Jones is on the job.
So that's like an old school Brooklyn accent, right? That's what.
That was the inspiration.
Nice. Yeah, man. I mean, again, how does it feel knowing that you are the voice for a lot of children's Saturday morning experiences? I mean,
yeah, it was awesome, because I watched the originals of these, so like to get to be a part of the continuation of them was a huge honor. Like definitely giant answered prayers, and it was incredible. And I have some of the action figures in my closet that I'm an action figure, so it was cool. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, was that when I was
Daria? This is when I first got to know you, and when I first heard about what you do, and when I heard you did Daria, I'm like, wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, that one was my first big break. Like that was the first job I ever got, and I was a sophomore at NYU, and kind of that was a big deal for me, and a lot of fun, and that was the first time I heard my voice on TV, and that was very exciting. And there's still fans of it today. Like there's still people that
absolutely. It's like a cult classic, man.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah. What else we got here? And then you did some Marvel. You did Destiny Arrives. How many characters did you voice on this one?
Well, this was an audiobook. So this was basically every character that speaks in the movie was in this book. So
wow.
I did all the Avengers, all of the Thanos and the villains and everybody, and that was a lot of fun to do. It was a young adult adaptation of Infinity War. So it was
wow.
I definitely was trying to pay homage to the movie as much as I could, and kind of channeled that. And
how long does making an audiobook like this, you doing audio voices, like how long was this process?
So usually for audiobooks, you're in the studio recording for like 3 to 4 days, depending on the length of the book. And it's usually like 10 a.m. until we'll go to sometimes like 5 or 6 at night. And we get like lunch breaks and stuff like that. But you're just kind of in there reading. Wow. And then there's all the prep work that you read the book ahead of time, and kind of I'll cast it and kind of trying to make sure I have the voices down. And so there's a lot of prep work that goes into it before you actually get in the studio. But So they definitely take a while, but they're fun.
Cool. All right, so now let's get into some Star Wars here. Legacy of the Force. So how many, this was, how long was this series? How many audiobooks was this?
So this was a 9-book series, and this was my first ever audiobook, and first ever Star Wars audiobook. And they were looking for someone to voice this 9-story arc. And so my agent called and was like, have you ever done an audiobook? And I was like, no, not really. And, I didn't tell her this, but to be honest, I wasn't much of a reader. Like I didn't like read for fun. I kind of always did the Cliff Notes in school and stuff. So I was kind of trying to like maybe say, not really interested or whatever. And she was like, well, would you be interested in a Star Wars audiobook? And I was like, whoa, wait, hold on. I'm a huge fan. So they sent me a script, and I really worked hard on it and actually like prayed about it. I was like, God, I'd love to get this, and went in, and I got it, I think, because ever since I was a kid, I mimic things, and I would kind of like copy voices that I hear on TV or imitate, things. And so I think I got the job because I could do a good approximation of some of the characters, but then I kind of had to learn on the job how to like really tell the story and how to record an audiobook.
The different inflections in your voice, right? And right. So it's almost like you was learning how to read all over again in a weird way.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So, but I have a great director. His name's Marc Thompson, and he really coached me through a lot of stuff and kind of taught me that art form of like, not just performing the dialogue, but really being a storyteller and like, making the story make sense. So,
now this is the one where Luke actually has his wife, correct?
Yes, this was part of the expanded universe before Disney
came
bought
and did what they did.
Yeah, so this is like this is part of that expanded universe. You have Mara and like Han and Leia have their kids, and it's a really cool story. Actually, it's really cool.
Yeah, she actually I learned a little bit about her. She was dope. She was really cool, man. It's like just assassin / Jedi / you know what I mean? It's like she's like this all-purpose individual. Yeah. It would have been great to see her, in the current iteration, but all this is now quote unquote legend. So then we have, speaking of legends, we have the Star Wars Legend series.
Yes.
And this was a 3-book series.
So these were I think this was is this Fate of the Jedi? Yeah. So Fate of the Jedi, I believe, was another 9-book series, if I'm not mistaken. And it kind of takes place after Legacy, and it followed kind of all those stories of like their kids and what was going on with the Jedi Order, and they got into some really cool stuff about like other Force users that weren't necessarily Sith or Jedi, but something in between, and kind of
the Gray Jedis. Are you talking about the Gray Jedis or?
No, there was it was like this alien species. I mean, I guess you could call it gray in the sense, but they were kind of like, I don't know if you watched any of the cartoons, but
yes,
it was kind of the approach that like on Rebels that the Bendu had. Like they were gray in the sense of like not buying into just light side or just dark side, but they weren't, I wouldn't say morally gray. They were just, they were different. They
were Switzerland. They were neutral.
I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Cool. What else we got here? Then we have the Old Republic.
Yeah. Those were really cool. Revan, and Revan was amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely a fan favorite right now. So you of course you've heard the rumors that this might be the next trilogy, right? The Old Republic. Do you think there's any validity to that?
I don't know. I mean, I'd be really into it if they do an Old Republic style movie, because I love all that stuff with like Jedi and Sith. That's my favorite stuff. So
I saw somebody on YouTube. They did they took all the story scenes from the video game of the Old Republic and just put up the clips. If the movies are anything like that, then we're in for a treat, because those clips are amazing.
Yeah,
really good storytelling from a video game of all things, you know. So
yeah. No, I didn't. I was not a PC gamer, but I loved watching those cutscenes, and I would like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So yeah.
yeah. Then we have here, what's this? The Saga Continues, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command.
Right. Yeah, this was the first. I recorded the basically 25th anniversary of these books, and these were the first ever Star Wars novels. They were written by Timothy Zahn, and these were kind of what would have happened after Return of the Jedi, before any other movies were planned or talked about. And this is like where you first meet Thrawn, and and just kind of see Luke, right after Jedi. And these were amazing stories. These were really awesome. These are revered among Star Wars fans. Like, people really love these three.
Cool. Then we have some more. So these are the original books from right after Return of the Jedi, right? That's the time frame.
Yes. I'm not sure, to be honest with you, if I narrated those or not. I can't remember.
Well, I saw this on your page, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
If it's on IMDb, not everything on IMDb is actual, but I may have. I just don't remember now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then we have the more recent audiobooks, Aftermath.
Yes. Yeah, Chuck Wendig did these, and these are a really, really cool story, kind of bridging in the new timeline, bridging Jedi to Force Awakens, and kind of some of the events of what went on, and kind of the fall of the Empire and how that all collapsed, and even planting some seeds for what we saw happen with the Emperor and stuff. So it's those
Would there
really
be a Mandalorian audiobook, or you can't tell because you're under contract?
I don't know. I my gut is no, because I would imagine, since it's a TV series, they would want to save all their storytelling for future seasons and episodes. So, but I mean, I really don't know. I usually find out stuff like 2 weeks before I go in the booth. I'm like, usually there's like, would you like to do this one? I'm like, yes. And then it's like scrambled to kind of get read. But I usually don't know much more than what rumors are and stuff like that. So.
Okay. All right. So, what was your earliest Star Wars memory? I'm assuming it's, of course, the initial movie. What was your first, memory of that?
Right. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm of that generation where it's kind of always been there. Like, I was born in 75 and the first one came out 77. So it just feels like it's always been there. My first tangible memory is I remember being in the theater for Empire Strikes Back, and when Luke crashes into Dagobah and R2-D2 falls off into the swamp, and he's like, R2, where are you? And I scream out in the theater, he's in the water. And everybody's like, oh, and everybody laughed and stuff. So that's my first big Star Wars memory. But I always remember the action figures, playing with them. I always kind of remember watching the movies whenever it was on TV and kind of on loop. And so it's just one of those things where it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah. I still have my action figures.
I'm so jealous.
Yes. I ruined everything else. I had the Millennium Falcon. I had the Land Speeder. I had Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. I had Luke's X-Wing. I even had the Death Star.
Really?
I had all that, but as a kid, you break things up. But I still have my figures, though. I definitely have my figures.
I wish I did. I didn't hold on to those, but.
Right. So the movie came out in 77. When did you become a believer in the Lord, a Christian?
So I became a Christian in 93. And it was kind of a long road. But basically, yeah, I kind of sealed the deal in 1993, October 30th.
So, all right. So your first experience with Star Wars was, of course, in the 70s. Now in the 90s, but now being a Christian, when you started looking back at the original trilogy, did you see it differently? Was certain things that pop out to you now that maybe you wasn't really looking for the first time you saw it?
Oh yeah. I mean, looking back on it now, it's like I almost see it as Star Wars helped plant seeds in me that led me to my faith. Like because the themes in Star Wars are mirroring, you know, the story of the Gospels and God. And I know that, like, you know, George Lucas has been very vocal about the fact that he borrowed from a lot of religions and borrowed from a lot of mythology to try to do just that, to kind of, like, you know, give people a modern day mythology to kind of teach them right and wrong. And that's definitely what it did for me. And I almost feel like I owe part of my Christianity to Star Wars, looking back on it, because just those concepts of, like, the battle between the light and the darkness, and you know, kind of having to, you know, make that choice is all right there. And kind of the idea that the Force is this, you know, all powerful, you know, thing that flows through us, that created us, that, you know, that is like such a parallel to God for me. And the idea that it's this amazing power, but you can't see it. And that, you know, and like, you know, Han Solo, and is like, I've never seen anything that made me believe, you know, like all that stuff. It's like you've got people that don't believe in it, but you've got people that do believe in it. And it's just, it just, to me, it's like there's so many parallels that, you know, that I feel like Star Wars has really helped me understand my faith in a unique and deeper way.
Cool. So, and speaking of George Lucas, I have a quote here. It says George Lucas stated that he wanted Star Wars to inspire young people to ask spiritual questions about God. In Star Wars, the idea of God is found in the Force. Lucas states, I put the Force into the movie in order to try to awaken a certain kind of spirituality in young people, more a belief in God than a belief in any particular religious system. So as you were saying, like, that's exactly what his agenda was with the film, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely. I feel like that's what, even if people are not aware, I think that's why we gravitate to a Star Wars. Because, you know, Star Wars and Star Trek, you know, it's like Bloods and Crips. You know, these guys fight each other all the time.
Yeah.
Except us. I mean, we're both fans of both.
I know, I'm both
series.
Yeah.
But, you know, online it gets ridiculous. But But I think the reason why, because, you know, Star Trek is always considered the more cerebral, right? But Star Wars is definitely, I feel like, has been definitely more on a spiritual side of things. And I think that's, and plus, you know, we like this the lightsaber fights and everything. But I think embedded within all that is this thing that there's something bigger than we are, and that we get to tap into that, right? So I think that's the allure of the Star Wars saga.
Yeah, at least for me. I mean, I know lots of people like it for different reasons, but that definitely is what resonates with me.
Right. So, but in speaking of spirituality, right? He says and as you said, he borrows from various spiritual paradigms. So the thing, though, right? We got to be objective. Even though we're Christians, we're very objective in our theology, and we know what's what. We have to come to grips, ladies and gentlemen, that the Force is not a Christian concept. I know it hurts. Doesn't mean we still can't be, you know, a part of the Star Wars thing, but it is what it is, right? It's actually a form of pantheism. Now, pantheism is a religious belief that includes the entire universe in its idea of God. A person who follows the religious doctrine of pantheism believes that God is all around us throughout the whole universe. Now, that's the definition of pantheism. Now, I want you to see, and Mark, if you could do the honors, if you can actually say this quote when Obi-Wan actually explains what the Force is. So I give it to you, sir.
The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
So basically, it's the same definition, right? It's that's what it is. It's pantheism. Doesn't mean we can't enjoy the Force and we can't, you know, get our lightsaber from our living room while we're sitting in our dining room, and we could do all that. That's great. I'm just saying, it is what it is. But now what I would like to do, like to play a little game with Mr. Marc Thompson, and this is what we're going to do. So even though pantheism and other spiritualities are part of Star Wars definitely borrows from the Bible, like heavily. So what we're going to do, sir, is I'm going to show you a quote from a particular Star Wars character, and I want you to see what Bible verse inspired that particular quote.
Oh no!
All right. So we're going to start with Yoda. So, sir, I know you got a pretty decent Yoda in you, so if you don't mind.
Do or do not. Use no try.
Right. Now, what scripture, goes with this?
Ooh. Okay. Well, I guess I would say. I mean, there's a couple. I think maybe when Jesus is talking to the Pharisees and they say they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, because the idea of like, don't just say you're going to do it, but actually do it, might maybe apply. I think of, in the context of the scene, this is when, Luke feels like it's going to be impossible to move this X-Wing, and and Yoda kind of proves him wrong because he uses the Force. And I'm wondering if, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, that I'll move you, and maybe something like that. The idea that with faith you can do it. So I don't know, but what do you think? What does it remind you of?
Revelations 3:15-16. I know your deeds, that you were neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of your mouth.
Okay, right? Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the next one. Now, do you do Padme? You don't do Padme, right?
I do, but I don't know if you want me to do it.
Let's give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Sometimes we must let go of our pride and do what is requested of us. That's a great quote. I like that. I never locked in on that.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think of humble yourself and he will lift you up. I think God opposes the proud. I think if you love me, you obey my commands. I don't know. What do you got?
All right, I got Philippians 2:3-4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others.
That's great.
All right, here you go.
Great kid. Don't get cocky.
All right, so what deep biblical truth can you glean from this?
You could go back to Philippians 2 again. Again, humble yourself inside the Lord, and do not. What's the one that talks about do not exalt yourself, but kind of like the one about the Pharisees about not sitting at the head of the table.
Right.
It's escaping me now, but yeah, any of those pride scriptures.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 9:23-24. This is what the Lord says: Let not the wise boast of their wisdom, or the strong boast of their strength, or the rich boast of their riches. But let the one who boast about this, that they have the understanding to know me, that I am the Lord, who exercise kindness, justice, and righteousness on earth. For in these I delight, declares the Lord.
Yes.
So I don't know if Han was a fan of the prophet Jeremiah, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, here you go.
Who said that?
Luke.
Well done, my good and faithful Jedi. Well done, good and faithful servant. Is that a Star Wars? Well done, my
That's
good
the actual quote from Star Wars. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes, and yeah, exactly what you said was right on the money. It is Luke 19. Get it, Luke?
Ah,
That's what I did there. Well done, my good servant, his master replied, because you have been trustworthy in a small matter. Take charge of 10 cities.
nice.
So, is there any other quotes from Star Wars that you think lends itself to the Bible that you could take off?
Oh yeah. I think I jotted some of them down because I knew we were going to be talking today. Let me see if I can pull them up here. I mean, the big one is when, anytime Obi-Wan says, may the force be with you, and I will be with the force will be with you always. In Matthew, when Jesus is about to, go back to heaven, he says, and I will be with you always to the very end of the age. And I think I read somewhere that really was inspired by that quote. And then I think of like when Yoda's telling Luke the idea that, he says, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. There's this idea that, like when in Corinthians, when it talks about we have this treasure in jars of clay, so that we might know that this all-surpassing power is from God, not from men. Like I always think of that is that, when Yoda says not this crude matter, he's kind of saying we're not jars of clay,
Right.
We're the luminous beings inside the jars of clay. And it's the same thing, like the power we have from God, it gives this to us in our flesh, but we are not our flesh, we are our soul, we are our spirit.
Right.
So I always, that kind of reminds me of that. I mean, there's just the idea of the idea, like we kind of talked about it in the beginning, but the idea of like the struggle between light and darkness, and like not like I think in Romans 12:21 it says, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And I always like that reminds me of the inner struggle of the light versus the dark side. And in Romans 7, when it talks about, the evil I don't want to do, I keep doing. And like, it's just that when Paul's describing that inner struggle of wanting to do good, but the evil's right there with him. That always makes me feel like the pull of the dark side and the light side. And so there's a lot of cool stuff. And I think like Endor is actually in the Bible, and that's the fourth moon of Endor.
Right. That is true. Cool. That is true.
Like, I haven't seen any Ewoks in the scriptures, but at least Endor.
Absolutely. That's really cool. Anything else outside of the Star Wars realm that you might be getting into, or?
I'm always doing more. Like I'm still working on Pokemon. I'm still doing Yu-Gi-Oh, and whatever kind of audiobooks and stuff I can get my hands on, and lots of things like that. So
that's cool. Is there any place via social media that people could reach out to you and see?
I'm Captain Ehud. And Captain because I'm a sci-fi fan, and Ehud from the Book of Judges, and he kills people on. But I'm Captain Ehud on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm Marc Thompson on Facebook.
Great, man. Thank you so much, brother, for just having this time where we could just really explore a little bit of Star Wars and a lot of scripture and how they both merge, and how we could use anything, right, to contextualize the gospel, right? Yeah. You see Paul do that all the time, when he's talking to the Stoic philosophers. Some of your own poets have said, right? So he's quoting pagan poets, but he's using the few things he does agree with as a starting point to explain the gospel. And I feel like, Star Wars is also one of those things, it's like, these are our new poets, right?
Yeah.
And
totally.
we utilize these guys to convey the gospel. And I know you do a great job of that. You're doing an amazing job of that. So I definitely appreciate how you use your gifts to really convey the gospel in very unique and very entertaining ways. So thank you for that. And that's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys will really enjoy this. Please share the video, and definitely hit up Captain Ehud on the Twitter and see. And he does a lot of crazy stuff, guys. Like, I mean, righteously crazy, but he lives his life. He definitely lives his life. So this is the BK Apologist signing off. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks.